When COVID happened a little over a year ago, all of the groups started meeting online. We all remember those times and those crazy times through those first couple of months. And I found very early on that community was absolutely important to us. That meeting once a week for an hour or two really just wasn't cutting it. And I knew that none of us were really doing anything because we were all on lockdown. School was still trying to figure out what to do, and we had a lot of free time on our hand. And so I proposed to the group and said, "Hey guys, let's start meeting every night, and let's just start reading the Bible. Let's just read a chapter a night. Let's talk about it, and let's just see where it goes from here." It's been so amazing to see the growth in students through this time, to the point where we've talked several times about how has COVID been, and most of us would come back and say it actually was better for me because we all got closer to God together, and being able to go through those struggles in the beginning together, and now going back to school and going through those struggles together has just been so amazing, just to go through and talk through those and make sure that no one's alone through this time, and that we all have each other's backs. Does anybody have anything they want to add?
Definitely during the start of COVID, I felt like I was leaning away from God, and I wouldn't be participating as much in the online CCV groups. But once Bible study hit, I would consistently show up to Bible study, and it kind of felt like this safe place that I had. It felt like church again, where it's somewhere where I don't have to worry about my life at home or life outside of the church.
Honestly, like, I guess the Bible study kind of made me realize like what I was missing, that last piece to my faith. I feel like it was just maybe like a little push from God to like, finally get us into that step of our faith.
Yeah, for me, by the time COVID started, I was only at the high school services for a few weeks before we were thrown into COVID. So this was just like an awesome way to keep growing in my relationship, not only with God, but like with all of these guys. And so, yeah, it's been a year, and like I still haven't seen them all, but like by doing this, it's still a way to stay connected, and it's been really nice.
What were your guys' thoughts on the Bible before Bible study?
Oh, like 100%. I was like, this is just an old book that like I wouldn't necessarily consider to be that helpful, like in any way to me.
I'm right there with you, Caleb. I think I was I believed in the Bible like a little bit because that's where the story of Jesus comes from, his resurrection, right? That's where I was like, okay, yeah, but I didn't believe that investment that I would spend time putting in would actually be so applicable coming out.
I know that kind of the question that got us started with this was asked by Rusty. He asked, do you guys think that the Bible is still relevant and is still applicable today, even though it was written like a couple thousand years ago? And I think just about every single one of us said probably not, but just about every one of us realized that was wrong pretty early on. We started in John, and just about immediately it was kind of like just a smack in the face. Like that was the complete opposite of what actually the case was. But it's been kind of cool to just realize that.
So now fast forward a year later, what are your thoughts on the Bible now?
Yeah, I just think it's crazy how you can reread a chapter that you've read before or a book that you've read before, and then you find new things and new verses that you didn't find the first time you read it. So like we've all heard some of these stories before when we were younger, or have like read these books before, but then going back and even just like rereading them the next day after the previous Bible study, you find stuff that you didn't highlight or that you didn't talk about before. And it's really interesting how different stuff pops up each time you read.
From a coach's perspective, it was really fun to watch you guys have your light bulbs turn on pretty quickly after that first week. Rusty and we didn't have to prompt you guys as much. You guys were digging deep. You guys were hitting every single verse in every single chapter. And it was really fun to watch you guys grow in your faith.
How has Bible study and getting in the Word helped you turn around and coach others, knowing what you know now about the Bible?
Honestly, it helped. You want to challenge your peers to like be the best person they can be. But with this, it kind of helps you gain the confidence and the courage to like ask people those hard questions so you can help your friends along the way.
I've just been recently getting into inviting my friends because that's something I've been very bad at. But just sharing like the word with them and now knowing what I'm sharing. And like if I were to not be a believer, if I heard someone with that much devotion, especially a high schooler to some certain thing, I'd kind of get interested. So I think it's cool that I now have that I can share with others.
How would you say, Bible study changed your home life?
I feel like I've been able to talk about my faith and have those deeper discussions with my parents and just like go more in depth about if I'm having a struggle or just any topic about the Bible. It's just easier to talk to them about and nice to go in depth with that.
Yeah, for sure. Just kind of echoing what everyone else has said. It's really positively impacted my relationship with the rest of my family members, especially since I've, been locked in with them for so long, like having the Bible to really show me the way and how I'm supposed to treat other people and, love my family. It's been really helpful. And just like everyone else has said, we've started some of those biblical discussions like at the dinner table, and I'll take some of what we talked about in Bible study and bring it up with my parents and like talk about stuff like that and get some of their perspectives. And it's just like been really cool to take what I've been talking about with the guys and take that with my family and talk to them about it. So, yeah.
For me, it's pretty similar, but I don't know. Before we really started this, I didn't realize that I was like an angry person. I didn't think that I was all that bad in that regard, but apparently there was a noticeable shift in my behavior shortly after we started this. And my parents, like, they just approached me and they're like, "What's going on?" Because they were very much confused. But I don't know. I got to thinking, and I would accredit it very much to doing this. I guess it's kind of gotten into my brain to the level of where I don't feel as alone anymore.
How has getting into the Bible changed your interactions and your relationships with your friends, maybe not at church?
I'd say definitely like it's affected my behavior at school in a way, because not everyone acts the same around their friends and their parents and whatever not. And I feel like it kind of like got rid of that barrier that I don't have to talk differently. And it gave me that confidence to really like actually talk about what I've been doing. And people ask me about, "Oh, what did you do yesterday?" I'm like, "Oh, I read the Bible and this is what we talked about." And they're like, "Oh, it's cool." Like they get intrigued and I get to talk to them about that. And I get to share what I've learned to them. And sometimes they like actually take it as good advice and like actually like want to learn more about it.
Yeah, some of my friends throughout this past year have gone through some really, really tough times. So I've been able to be more open about asking them if they need not just support from me, but like if they need me to pray for them about anything, or and just being more open about saying that like God is with them and God is looking out for them. They're not alone through this. Whether or not I even think that they believe in God, like it's just being able to talk about God more freely with them has definitely, I credit that a lot to the Bible study and just being more knowledgeable about it.
So, Trey, you've been in quarantine for over a year now. We have not seen your bright, shining face back at church. There may be students watching this right now that are in that same boat. They're watching this on YouTube. How has your unique perspective of being locked down for a year, how has Bible study and getting into the Word kind of impacted you through that way, knowing that you don't have the face-to-face community that some of us have had?
Yeah, I mean, it's impacted me in so many ways. Just like staying in the Word and like staying connected to God. I know so many people that as soon as COVID hit, they stopped going to church. They stopped, being with their small group. They stopped being connected to God. And I know, like for me, my one source, I guess you could say, of church would be on whenever I went to the high school service. And so obviously when that stopped, like that kind of cut off a lot of connection. So this was just one way for me to stay involved and stay invested and just stay connected to the Word and to God. And that's just so important because, I mean, there have been some really lonely and dark periods in this past year, seeing everyone like living their lives and being with their friends, and it can feel really isolating, but just knowing that like I have the Bible and just like building that relationship has saved me a lot of times and has really pulled me out of like those dark periods of loneliness. And I'd say, like, for anyone that is in the same situation as me, first off, what's up? I'm proud of you guys. Yeah, I know it's tough, but there are brighter days coming. And I think a really big thing that I'm excited about is like all the stuff that I've learned in the Bible. Like, I'm going to be that much ready to go back into the world and like apply everything that I've learned, and really like take that and just be prepared for whatever the world has to offer when I'm out of my house. So yeah, it's been pretty good. And these guys have kept me sane for a while. So thanks for that.
All right. Would you have started this habit without someone guiding you?
No.
Started, maybe, not have kept it.
Oh,
There
yeah.
have
That's
been
probably more accurate, yeah.
many Bible app devotionals I have started,
Yeah.
but none of them I have kept like this.
Doing this with each other like helps us bounce ideas off each other and like pick each other's brains differently and just see that different perspective that you might not see.
I got to say, I love how accountable both coaches are. And man, they have stuck to this like crazy. They have really poured their heart and soul into this. And I really think it's because of them and their accountability on us that it's paid off.
The most important thing you can do is talk about it, talk about the Bible, talk about God, because, as I said, like you can read the Bible and then those are just like words on a page. But there's so much power in it when you're talking to other Christians about it. And that's just like part of the reason why I think a lot of us keep coming back, is because we get excited about these discussions and we know like there's so much that there is to talk about. And so, we just keep coming back, and each night the discussion just gets better and better. So, yeah.
How would you guys like recommend someone else or another group do something like this without having someone take the initiative to start it for someone else? Does that make sense? Like, how would you recommend that a student would just take the initiative to do it without their coach saying, hey, we're going to do this? How would you start another group? Go.
I feel like being young, you actually have an advantage because people care about what you think about them and what they think about you. And if you're constantly investing in the Bible and you're like, hey, let's do this. Hey, you want to do this? They're going to be curious, or at least more curious than they would be if a coach asked, because you're their age, you're with them at that group, you're doing everything that they're doing, except you're doing Bible study. They're going to be like, why is he doing this? And they're going to ask more questions. That's a better way to get them involved.
I'd say a good way to get the routine going is finding out who the leader is and stepping up and challenge them or challenge the others, and ask everyone who will join in. And once it becomes a trend in the group and everyone realizes how like great it is, like even like people who don't show up as much might want to show up more and join in that group to, relate with them and really see what it's about.
All right, gentlemen, it's been wonderful discussion tonight. Thank you all for your time. We will see you all next week. All right, guys.
All right.
Have a good night.
All right.
Later.
Later.
Bye.